Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for
Oh, thanks to Charles and Max Energy, proud to energize the Lethbridge Hurricanes by WHL Center. Now, let's go! Hurricanes!
Swift Current, 7 for Lethbridge. What's the metric?
Of course, you have cold
Contact every report to the Hurricanes office to get your look back. Organize 2 corporate vouchers. The vouchers are only for gifts, for packages, for value points, and staff appreciation. Get yours today.
Broncos tonight. The 43 games with them last season, 18-year-old at 8 points. Certainly a familiar face for Dean Block when we coached him in that. They've picked that up to watch him up past there. They're trying to steer towards Cousins back in his way. Cousins is ranked by many to be one of the top 2 picks unless there's any killing interest. Reflected in the territory. Holter up his goal, he'll leave it there. Selected in behind the net. Firing the Smith. Running along. It's ready. Lost in the battle with import goaltender. Curious to get a great save off of Kelsey Jerry Leone by Isaac Bolter. What it was like just a few months ago, the Broncos
Hurricanes goals for the health and charity. Sent it back our at 2:24. The Swift Current Broncos number 2, they have been 2 for sticking. Down the bell at 19 minutes, 27 seconds. And
ha terminado el primer periodo en el estadio NMAX Center de la ciudad de Lethbridge en el partido último de la pretemporada de los Huracanes de Lethbridge. Marcador 2-0, Lethbridge sobre los campeones, los Broncos de Swift Current. Regresamos para el segundo periodo de este partido de exhibición.
Going to my left and my right here on the custom truck sales penalty kill to start in our second period. We'll get quickly to the out-of-town scoreboard brought to you by Ballard Promotions as it's covered up by Colter.
Pero el entrenador no le arroja nada.
Penalty against Lethbridge. So right as the Broncos go down 3-0, a minute and 16 seconds into the second period. The first time the Broncos go to the power play. Family business.
Patrick goal for penalty, Jerry Field, assisted by Elmer and Wilson at 1. Tonight's relay brought to you by Sunrise Design and Construction.
Clear, here's Carla.
Last one to play in the second period. The Hurricanes goal scored by number 27, Logan Barlagi. Assisted by number 17, Hayden Quinn, and number 18, Kelty Jerry. Barlagi for Quinn, Jerry, and 221.
And selected by Cohen. Quick 3-on-2 for Swift. Gallagher down the right lane. Hands on the pass, and that one's clear. To the net. Good shot.
Ha terminado el segundo periodo en el estadio NMAX Center de la ciudad de Lethbridge, Alberta, con el marcador 4-0 Lethbridge sobre los campeones del año pasado, los Broncos de Swift Current. Regresamos a las acciones del tercer periodo inmediatamente.
Broncos number 27, Sam Booyah. And the Hurricanes number 24, Dylan Cousins. 5 minutes and a game misconduct in play. Time the penalties, 19 minutes, 42 seconds.
I imagine this one won't get out there, but you did actually see it. You saw the way you moved it back.
Dylan Cousins gets his first of the period, unassisted at 11:22. On the power play, Dylan Cousins gets his second of the period.
Understand that if none in here suit your needs, you can always build your own, which is always a nice thing. So I'm just going to find one of these layouts here that I want to use. I'm just going to go back to my F5 actually. Layout. F1. Let's see what my F1 is. F2. Okay. That's my F2. Back to my F1 then. Okay. Now I change this back to the single screen with the output, and I'm just going to hit save layout. So let's just save that layout to F1. Does everyone mind just muting themselves if they can, please? Please hear some background noise there. Okay, I'll continue. So that's the layouts. Anyone have any questions on layouts? Pretty simple. Obviously dragging stuff in here and then populating it however you want, and manipulating the cameras around to where you want them on the screen. Pretty simple. Nice easy thing for you guys to do in your pregame. So I don't know if anyone has any layouts questions. If not, I'll move on. Perfect. Okay. Next thing I do, Control C brings up my control panel here, and you can see here I've got my live delay. This is basically the delay behind live I am with my replay file. So this can be any value really. It can't be less than 1 though. And then speeds down here also. So you've got your 9 and 7, 6 and 4, 3 and 1 speed, as well as your control and all of those same numpad keys. So you can actually have up to 9 different speeds. Not that you guys will probably be using 9 different speeds, but you have that option there for you. In actual fact, there's not a 100% one here. So I would usually have one of these at least as your 100% forward and back, so you can actually use the numpad to rewind and fast forward. 25% is good, 50% is good. Sometimes you want a little bit slower as well. 15% is a nice speed to see things with slow motion. So there's your control panel. The last thing on the control panel is the stop on release, which basically means if I'm holding down my numpad 7 to rewind at what would be 130% on this machine, if I release that key, then it pauses the video. So if I've got that tick, that's what that does. If I untick that, what will happen is if I press that 7 once, it's going to rewind until I press another button. It's just going to keep rewinding for me. So that's another preference that people have. Some people like the release thing. I like the release thing. Others prefer to be able to press it once and then let it go, and then press another speed to slow it down or reverse it any other way. The control panel. Any questions on that? No? we're set up for the game. So we're going to talk through what we need to do during the game. Obviously, we talked about the speed keys being your numpad keys. Obviously, L's for live. And then now if we're going to the bookmark panel, we've got B for bookmarking. So B would bookmark, essentially, if I pause this video now, it's going to bookmark at this point. If I press V, it's going to do a live bookmark. So essentially, if I see it out on the ice and I hit V, it's going to mark that time what was happening on the ice at that point. So there are your two different bookmarks, and they will appear in your bookmark panel here. So the team view is a little slow here, but you can see we've got a whole list of different bookmarks, and you can see that actually these are very nicely named, which I think is always important because you can get very lost if you've got a whole load of bookmarks that just say clip name. So when you make a bookmark, always good to at least name that with appropriately, so that when you're trying to find something later on in the game, you can quickly go to it with a sig too. So then once you've got your bookmark, you've got to export it. So this is a new thing last year in the WHL that the league office obviously wanted to get all of the exports to the Dropbox location so that they could see that remotely. So they would ask you. So there's two ways that you can do this export. So you've got your bookmark here, which has got your in time. So you can see this has got 17, 44, 18. If I click export here, it's going to bring up this what they call the archive panel. And within here, you're going to go through and you're going to select your archiving settings. So the start time is always the time in which you bookmark. You can actually change that in here if you want. Make that 8 seconds earlier, or you can make that a little bit later, depending on what you want to do with the clip. You then name your end time. So you've got two ways of naming your end time. You can either do a duration, so you can say, okay, I want to export 10 seconds from when I've got my operator in my bookmark. Or I can specify an end time, so I can go in here and I can say, well, no, I actually want this to end at 44:40, for example. And you can see that automatically updates the duration down the bottom. And then you can see that you can then name all of the, or you don't name, you can select the cameras that you want to select, and then you can sort it out. So if you want cameras 1 and 2, for example, then you can deselect the 3, the 4, and that work, and then the 5, yeah. And then you can say, okay, well, I am going to export 1, 2, 3, and 5. So then obviously it's not going to export, 6. It's not going to export 4 or 5. So that's where you select your cameras, and then you go down, and you can name it here as well. So you see at the moment it's just named operator. If I was exporting the Sweden, I can show you actually. If I just come out of this one and I go to export the Sweden high stick-in, you see that automatically puts that name in there. If you want to change that, you can obviously change that right here now. The export path should always be C Dropbox. So that's going to export to the Dropbox location and then get uploaded automatically. So it's important that you always see that path before you do the export. And then what you want to do is make sure this is on universal, which it should always be, and then ensure that the use case is external, which basically means you're not going to get all of the Hawkeye extra files that mean absolutely nothing to you guys. You just want to see the MP4s and that's it. And then the file type up here, MP4, that's your standard, that should always be the case. Deinterlaced, and the next thing here is the video bitrate. So the video bitrate is obviously the quality of the export. This is coupled with the FFmpeg preset down here. So 35 at faster is pretty good quality. It's going to look like what you see on the TV. If you reduce this bitrate down to say 10 meg, then that will look good on iPhones, but on the computer screen, well, on a computer screen it will still look good. It just won't look as good as 35. You'll see more artifacts in the video than you will at 35. on, well, now you're going to see quite a fuzzy video. So that's what the video bitrate means. I wouldn't go above 35, if I'm honest with you, because the improvement you see above that is marginal, and but the size of the file is substantial. So obviously, the larger the bitrate, the larger the file. So I don't know if there's a standard across the league which guys should be exporting this. If so, I'd say just leave at 35 and leave this preset at faster, and you should be good. So that's how you export through the bookmark panel. But there is also another way that I like to use, and that is called the Control-I, Control-I-O panel. So if I just do this, if I just press Control-I now, okay, so that's my in time. I'm just letting the video roll forwards here, and I'm just going to press Control-O, and that pops up with a panel here. And you can see that it's giving me the time here in which I press Control-I, and the time here in which I press Control-O, and then you can see it was only 5 seconds between the two. Now, I'd follow the same process as I just went through earlier. Going through the cameras, the naming, it gets from the bookmark panel. And then you go through this, you hit archive, I'll archive it off, and to that location so that the guys remotely can see that video. Now, if you're exporting, the best thing to do when you're exporting is pause the video. The reason for that is that the system, by design, throttles the export if there's live video playing, because it basically puts priority on the video. It says, okay, this guy's still using the system for replay purposes, therefore we're going to throttle the export so it doesn't affect the video quality. So if you're in an intermission or you're at the end of the game and you're wanting to export quickly, pause that video because it's going to go much, much quicker. And then you'll see it. It's substantial. So that's just a little tidbit to you guys when you are doing your exports, to just pause the video. So that's the bookmark panel. As I said, naming is key. You can seek to it here, the export panel, export button here, and obviously the delete button here. I would make sure that maybe keep the last couple of games of bookmarks, but you don't want this panel to grow too big because then it starts getting complicated. So, just ensure there's a little bit of housekeeping is done on this panel periodically through the year, just to ensure that you keep it to a sensible list rather than one that's a little long. So, okay, so bookmark panel. Anyone have any questions on that and exporting? Yeah? Okay. So another thing, so this is my output tile up top. What I'm going to do here is press Alt and T. So it's going to bring up the timeline panel. I like this timeline panel. It can be pretty handy at times. You can see I can actually drag on there and drag this cursor around. And unfortunately, because the video is on the other monitor, you can't see the video. But I'm manipulating the video right here. And this is just another way you can go back through the video if you want to. In my opinion, using the numpad to fast forward and rewind is a much more efficient way of doing it. But I know other systems out there utilize this timeline panel. Just know that that's there and that's available for you guys if you need it. And so you can click and drag this around. And I can also, I don't know if this is going to work on my mouse pad here, but no, it didn't, unfortunately. But you can basically use your center scroller on this top bar here, and it'll basically give you a shorter amount of time and a longer amount of time, depending on whether you scroll in and out. But that's what we call the timeline panel. As I said, it's just a nice little additional feature there for you guys to use if you wish. We'll go back to the other monitor now. Okay, so it paused here on a minute and a half behind. So this bar at the top is a very important bar. It's going to tell you all the information that you need. Obviously, system status, system OK is what we want to be seeing. You got the date and the time, real time at the top, and then in the middle, obviously, you have what how far behind live you are. And if you're fast forwarding and rewinding, it's also going to tell you that, give you that information at the top. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to purposely make this status bar red by, I don't have to do that, I guess. Oh, no, I do. By shutting down a VVC, I'm just going to open up this, and then I'm just going to shut down camera 6 here. So camera 6 is now shut down, and then I'm going to go to the viewer, and then I'm going to go launch this back up again. What we should see now is the status bar be red, and it's going to give me some information in there. It's pretty useful. So here it is, again, waiting for it to just load up fully. And in an ideal world, you'll see it green, but we can see it brownish red here, okay? So brown obviously means there's something going on, something wrong. Sometimes your system may flash to brown and then flash back to green again. That's probably a drop frame here and there, or something similar. Nothing to be very much worried about. Our system is very sensitive and gives the user a lot of information to ensure that everything is perfect. So occasionally you get the odd brown, then back to green again. That's nothing to be worried about. The red as well. That usually is caused by what we call an interlacing error. An interlacing error is invisible to the eye. The system knows about it, and it will alert you of that. But that's unless that is persisting, then that is not a major issue. Now, there is an issue with this system. I can see this tile's grey down here, which it shouldn't be. I'm going to go click on this top bar, and you can see here it says I cannot connect to camera 6. Okay, so we know there's something wrong with camera 6. And at this point, I'd advise you guys to reach out to us. Well, actually, tell a lie. If you see anything like this, then what I ask you to do is just go, okay, I'm going to Control Q, come out of this, let me get back to the table view here, and then just go, okay, all right, so I've got issues, I'm just going to hit launch all again. Yeah. Just let it relaunch back up again, and hopefully all your problems will be solved. If they're not, at that point, if you can get in touch with us guys here, and we will jump onto the system, figure out what the problem is. But if you at least do one relaunch of the software, it will usually fix itself. And if it doesn't, then that's obviously when you should be getting in touch with us. So green status bar again, excellent. Everything looking good. And then just one final thing whilst I'm in the viewer. Control and H is your help. It's got everything you need down there to do your job. If you have any questions about anything that's in here, anything that's maybe not in here, please let us know, and we can obviously inform you of that. So then the last thing you do at the end of the day, just ensure that you are coming out of the software and then just killing all. Yes. Everything's shut down. Should be clean down the bottom, and you can leave the smart configurator up like that if you would like. Not really doing much on the system. Just makes it easier for you next time you come in. And that's it. That's it, guys. I know I covered everything that you probably already were aware of, but I just want to give you guys a refresher. And I guess now open it up to the floor for any questions. I think the silence is good news, and that I did a pretty good presentation, maybe. But Kevin, Mason, I don't know if you have anything to add here. I give the floor to you.
Thanks, Dan. Mason here. Just want to say thanks for taking everybody through that here tonight. That was very informal, and we greatly appreciate you taking your time. And also thanks to everybody for jumping on here tonight and taking part. And also thanks for, being a technician here during the season. It's a very big role for us, and we greatly appreciate everything that you guys do for the Western Hockey League. I guess just a couple things from my perspective, from what Dan took us through here tonight. The real important thing from my aspect is that we're remembering to export all those clips and bookmark the certain situations that we've outlined through previous emails and whatnot. So essentially, we're just looking for penalty situations and any goal situations where we require a review. Those are the specifics as to what we're looking for in the league office. So thanks again for coming on tonight, and if anybody's got any questions, feel free. I have a quick question. If you can hear me.
Yep.
So I opened up the system. This is Adam in Victoria, by the way. I opened up the system earlier today, and I noticed that the Flame, the Daemon XE file was actually closed. I know that's always supposed to be open. Is there a way I can get that